right, Matt. How's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Everything's pretty good. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. So we're here, Father's Day today. You've been reading this book on Musashi. Super fascinating stuff. You know, I love all stuff like warriors and that ancient samurai period. I love like hearing about it. So I'm really excited to kind of get into this discussion. You had a specific story that you wanted to cover today. Did you want to get into that?
Absolutely. Yeah, so everyone knows the story of Musashi, the great samurai warrior. A lot of his focus in his life was just being a better swordsman, being better in, at fighting, and anything else in life, he discarded it. He compartmentalized all of his interests. He avoided like love interest with women, things like that. Everything just so he could focus on that. Now, one of the key elements of the book and Musashi's life is actually that there is a point where he sees value in things beyond swordsmanship and beyond being a samurai. And so that first starts when he encounters this man whose name is Koetsu. And Koetsu is basically like, he's not a samurai, he's not a warrior, but he is like a great artist and a painter and a potter. And he is like respected by, the elites, like the nobles and people like that. And he goes to like parties with those people. So he's like a highly esteemed, like really successful guy, but he's not a warrior.
Okay.
So this is like the first time.
So how old was Musashi when he met this guy? Was this still during his heyday?
20s.
Like, okay, so he was still relatively young.
Yeah, so he was still relatively young. And I think earlier in the book he had met this guy at like a party, so he knew who he was. And then one day he's walking through the fields as he's traveling around from town to town, like challenging everyone like Musashi does. So he goes through this field, he sees this man who's like painting, and he's with like an older lady. And so he goes up to them and he's like, oh, that guy looks kind of familiar. And he's like, oh, are you the great Koetsu? And he's like, yeah, that's me or whatever. So then he starts talking to him, and he was just like passing through like, oh, this guy's an artist. And so I'm gonna talk to him for 5 minutes. But then Koetsu asked him to be like, hey, you can't just like walk through here. You have to sit down and have like tea and food with us and be our guest because you came up here, and be respectful. And the old lady was like Koetsu's mother. So Musashi was like, okay, I have to at least sit here and have tea and eat a little bit of food and be respectful because Koetsu is like a famous artist. He's like, the rich, the nobles know him. So it's like, if I just walk away right now, it's like kind of disrespectful or something. So he sits down for 5 minutes, but he wasn't really thinking anything beyond that. But when he sits down, he picks up the teacup or the like a coffee mug, and he notices that it's like really like intricately designed and the way that it's built. And he's like, wow, someone built this who was like a master craftsman. And then Koetsu like answers him with like a riddle where he's like, oh yes, that person had put in a lot of time into that. But he never says like he's the one that made it. But later in the book, it's like he's the one that made it.
He's just being humble.
Yeah, he's being humble.
Yeah.
And then he basically talks to Koetsu, and he's like, he figures out that like just how Musashi and the great warriors have like an approach to discipline and like honing their craft and getting better with the sword and getting better with martial arts techniques like every day. There's also a whole nother world of artists who have the same idea, but it's for something different. It's for getting good at building a teacup or a painting. But it's the same level of discipline. It's the same mentality. And that's when he sees like there's the way, where it's like it's not just the way of the sword, but it's the way of the potter or the way of the artist. And it's like once you see the way, then you see the way in everything. And it's like, once you know the way, now you know the way in everything. So it's like that same way of the path of mastery and the path of self-improvement, it applies to everything. And that sort of opens up a light bulb in his head. And he's like, oh, like it's not a waste of time. Like you're not like, like a loser if you're spending your time painting and getting good at being a painter. Like you still can be.
That's what he thought before.
That's what he thought before. He's like, everyone that's not a samurai is a loser, basically. So now it's like he's like, oh, you can be a great man and have a life worthy of respect, even if you're not a samurai. So that was like the takeaway from that one. And then later in the book, it's like he actually starts painting. Musashi starts painting. He starts incorporating different hobbies into his repertoire. It's not just about swordsmanship. And so that was kind of like an eye-opener that opened up a whole new chapter for Musashi.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's super interesting. I think it says a lot about Musashi during that time, about how focused he was at his craft, as at being a martial artist, where he doesn't even notice other arts or other disciplines.
Right.
And he's just super self-centered and like, this is the best thing in the world. Everything else sucks. You're
Yep.
either a great swordsman or you suck. And he
Yeah.
meets his other guys like, oh, okay, other people have value too.
Yeah.
So how much of a savage must have this guy must have been, where he's walking around thinking like, I'm the best thing out there.
Pretty much.
And this kind of really opened his eyes to the world.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically like, nowadays you would say like he was autistic for swordsmanship.
Yeah.
Like he was just had a one-track mind or whatever. But yeah, it opened his mind to the world, to the nature of reality, that there's many different paths you can choose besides being a samurai. But you can still be excellent in that area, and that's what life's all about. It's about being excellent and having mastery and being great at whatever it is that you're at.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty common sense to most people. Most people who walk around with their eyes open,
Yeah.
see that there's like value in other people. But for you personally, like, who do you have the most respect for in terms of a skill, whether it be like a musician or an athlete or someone that's really good at a particular job? Anything jump out at you where you're like, oh, that's something that is super cool and I have a lot of respect for it?
The people that I respect the most are the people that have freedom, like like fuck you money, basically. We're like, okay, now I've achieved a level of success, and now I can do whatever I want with my time.
Yeah, but some of those people,
Well, the people
inherited.
not those people.
Okay,
Not the
okay,
Nepo
gotcha,
babies. I'm
gotcha.
saying like you worked your way up to it,
Yeah.
and now you're like a master. You're not a bum, but it's like you're able to do whatever you want, as opposed to being a pawn of the system.
Okay.
So, for example, like someone that's like a great artist, and they can be like, oh, I'm gonna do whatever I want because I have such a fan base. I don't have to just do what the record label says.
Right. I think it's an indicator where, hey, this guy is super wealthy and successful. That's an indicator for, well, he must be good at something.
Yeah, it must be good something.
Right. It's a good correlation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of people who just lucked into getting money or right place, right time, bought a bunch of Bitcoin and got out at the same time. So I don't think that in and of itself is enough for me to be like, oh, okay, like this guy, he
I guess
must be like
combined with like, well, okay, maybe to elaborate more, like I guess like a modern Renaissance man. So like to me, a Renaissance man, like the traditional definition of a Renaissance man would be like someone who's an expert in like philosophy, math, physics, whatever, different types of science. But I would say like if you want to use it in a modern sense, it would be someone who's like maximized their potential, like financially, socially, physically, so on and so forth. So like someone that's like fit and knows how to fight, but they also have financial success, and then they have like cultural influence, and they have achieved greatness and mastery of something. Like someone like that I would respect more, because I'm like, I think that's what I respect more. Someone like that that's well-rounded versus someone that's like, oh, I've really developed my brain and my wallet, but my body looks like shit and I'm unhealthy. Or someone that's like really fit, but they're poor. So it's like people that are well-rounded and have achieved mastery and success, I think.
Yeah, that's always fascinating.
Yeah.
The people who are the elite at one certain field, and then they're also an elite at a totally separate field. Like one example that kind of comes to mind is like sometimes you'll watch the NFL.
Oh,
and you think like, oh yeah, these are just a bunch of meatheads, huge jack guys. But then there are those NFL players out there who's like, hey, he's also a Rhodes Scholar.
Oh,
he's
sure.
also a super genius at this thing, and he's
Right.
choosing to play football, but he can be doing this other thing. And people like that is like, okay, so this person is basically better at me at everything. Like that's he's smart. He's like just a better person, basically.
Those
he's
people, yeah.
smarter. He's a more of an athlete. So those humans are super fascinating.
Yeah, I
and
think
then
so.
one like idea I had was like, is there like a different strain of human out there that's just producing these like superhuman people, and there's one strain of people who are just, you know, normal, and then there's a small segment of the population who are just uber geniuses.
I mean, yes, obviously, like some people are born with like an IQ of 160 or 180, like to be like an Einstein or whatever. It's like a genetic component to it. But then, like to achieve mastery in those different areas, it's like, oh, you're born with a high IQ, you're born with this, that, and the third. But also, the discipline and the work ethic. It's like that doesn't necessarily require like a genetic gift box that you're born with. It's just like maybe you could make that argument. Like someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger is like, oh, he achieved mastery as a bodybuilder. Then he was running his own business and like real estate investments, a movie star and a politician. Like those are three completely different things that you mastered. But it's like, and he wasn't a Nepo baby either. So he came over here as an immigrant and built himself up like that. So it's like, that's an example where it's like, oh, was he born with that genetic ability to just be like a workaholic who was like, I'm gonna master this and I'm gonna keep working and I have a chip on my shoulder because of whatever. Like, it could be, it probably is part of that. And then part of it is just like a conscious decision to embrace that sort of discipline and that work ethic. So it's probably a little bit of both. So there probably is like a gene where people are like, this is the workaholic gene. And like you need less, there's another side one. I think a lot of those successful people, like the thing that they don't really talk about is like, and I think Arnold is like that, and like Jocko and like some other people that can get by with less sleep, like that for sure is a superpower.
Oh,
like if
okay.
you can just do a max deadlift,
It's a special ability,
and get 4 hours of sleep and be recovered tomorrow, like that's like being on steroids, like or even better. That's like such a superpower. That's like crazy because you can just be working and training all the time. And just
you just have more
sleep.
hours in the day
you get way
than
more
a normal
hours
person.
And your energy is still good. You're not feeling terrible because all you need is a couple hours of sleep and you're good. I think Sinatra was like that too. There were a lot of the successful people, I think. So that's just genetic. You're just born with that.
Yeah.
Like if you're born with that ability where you only need a couple hours of sleep, this is like you won the lottery on that one. Like,
Yeah.
like I think that now that you ask it, I think there's a huge genetic component. Now that I think about it.
So. I think there's just mutants out there.
Yeah,
there's
they're
like
mutants.
the Teslas, you know.
Yeah, that
there's
guy,
like the Arnolds out there who are just. I know it's a cliche, but they seem to be just built different.
Yeah, there's like a machine or something. Yeah.
And there's the rest of us, just mere mortals that have to sleep.
Need 9 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
I still feel terrible. I need coffee. I'm like, oh,
exactly.
Man.
Yeah. And I get to just do one productive thing a day. You know, that's
Pretty
like my maximum.
And then I got to relax and recover.
Yeah. On the other hand, you have these machines who are just on all day, just grinding and accomplishing things and working out and having success in business, and they're always sharp.
Yeah, and like they have social skills and they're charismatic.
Yeah.
They're not just like socially awkward. It's crazy that it's like, yeah. So I think it is like a huge, now that you mention it, and now that I think, yeah, it's definitely a huge genetic component. But I don't think it's just like, I think there's still like the decision to like, oh, you got to wake up. But it's like if you're born with those genetics, and it's a lot easier because every day you feel amazing. Like every day your testosterone is like 10 out of 10. Every day your mood is 10 out of 10. Like you're just waking up feeling good. It's easy to say, okay, go make money, go do deadlifts, don't eat cookies all day. Like,
or maybe it's just a double-edged sword. And these people, there's like something wrong with them where they can be either like a super addict in their brain, or they're
it could be that.
Yeah, they're
like
gonna be super accomplished. So they're just tortured souls where they always have to be doing something, always have to be accomplished something, whether that is being the best crack addict in the world or like being the best like real estate mogul in the world. So maybe it's not like a great way to exist. You know,
it's
maybe
probably not. You probably don't have good relationships. Like I think most of those like successful great men, they're probably like terrible fathers.
Yeah, and that's just what I tell myself to make myself feel better. That I'm not like a uber. Yeah, exactly. My excuse for like a normal person, you know.
I mean, their life is probably better, but I'm saying like their aspects of it, most of those people, their children are not successful. Their children have a lot of dysfunction.
I know generally what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, I mean, how hard is it to be like a genius type? How hard is it to be like a Tesla?
Oh,
so
yeah.
the chances that, let's say you're Tesla's kid, you have this thing to kind of, you have this giant shadow. Like, there's no way,
Right.
you are going to be, you're going to accomplish that. And even if Tesla was able to clone himself,
Yeah.
he was at the right place at the right time, doing the
Yeah.
right thing at the right era. Everything kind of lined up perfectly. So even if you have all these talents, and even if you're a super genius, you just have to be at the right time in history.
Right.
Because like think about it. Tesla is a genius, but there's probably like not that many. But there's probably hundreds of people like him.
Yeah, it was like Isaac Newton or something like that.
Not even that. I mean, I'm just talking about the people we've never even heard of throughout
yeah.
history that are super bright, like 200 IQ.
Oh, I see.
But they never accomplished the things that Tesla accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah. Just some dude who's just living his life, not doing physics or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just like, all right,
Just
I'm
like
just a regular dude.
I want to be a normal dude.
A normal dude, just
I want to be a
super
normal dude. I just want to have kids, mow the lawn. Now, does that person, do they have an obligation to society if you're that talented to be like, hey, do something, make like free energy, figure out fusion.
I think somebody would argue, like the great philosophers of history would probably argue that.
If you had the ability to help out humanity in that kind of manner,
Yeah.
and then you're not doing that, does that make you a bad person?
Oh, is it like manslaughter of some sort or like negligence? It's like some sort of issue, maybe.
Do you have an obligation to society to help out your fellow man if you can?
I guess it goes to the root question of like, if you live in a world like the modern Western world where it's like individualism and everyone just pursues their own interests and everyone is just like, oh, I need to make money and keep up with the Joneses and like trying to get laid as much as I can and whatever, and it's this mindless consumerism. If you live in that world, then the answer is no, it doesn't matter, just do whatever you want. But historically, in every culture around the world, you owed something to everyone else, and in those worlds, you would say, yeah, you are born with these gifts, you need to use it to be a great leader or a great scientist. So I think the answer to your question is like, yeah, you probably should. If you're born with a 200 IQ and you're not doing physics or engineering or something, it's like, dude, what the hell, man? Like, that's crazy. You could be inventing like
You're just sitting at home watching like Desperate Housewives.
Yeah, you're watching reality TV,
getting fat,
getting diabetes, dude. Come on, that's crazy.
It's such a waste of talent.
It's a waste of talent. But actually, there is a dude. I don't know if you've seen him, where it's like, it'll be one of those that comes up in like these random news articles where there's like this dude that's a high IQ and he was like a bouncer or something like that. And it was like, what are you doing, dude? You could have at least been a doctor or something.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That dude.
Yeah, that's so crazy. You're just going to be a bouncer. Like, okay.
It's like someone that's born 6'11", jacked, like 260 pounds
he
with
has a high
abs.
IQ.
And he's like, I'm not going to play basketball.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
It's like, what?
Or at least play some sport.
Yeah. I bet that person gets it all the time. It's like, what are you doing, dude? His whole life. It's like, why don't you play basketball? It's like,
dude,
dude's like, I just don't like it. I just don't like sports.
Yeah.
And people pestering him like all day. It's
Yeah,
like, dude,
I've
what?
witnessed that in real life.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be some tall dude and you're like, oh, you play basketball, right?
That
And
must
like,
get
oh, you don't?
annoying
Like, come on.
really fast. Yeah. It's like, I have other interests. I like to play the guitar.
Like, what? You could have been like 4 or 9 and played the guitar. Like, that's crazy. You're born that tall. You need to play. At least try it. If you suck at it,
At least try it
for
yeah.
a year. See what happens. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So if you're a dictator, would you make that guy play basketball?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, if you're the dictator? Oh, if you're a dictator? Absolutely. Like, you don't have to like chop his head off. You can be like, oh, we're gonna give you like all this gold.
Yeah.
You can incentivize them. You can do soft, the velvet hammer.
And even then, he's like, I want to be an artist. I want to paint.
All right. Well, first you gotta try basketball, and we'll see how that goes.
So I don't want to play basketball.
Well, try it out.
Straight to the gulags.
Yeah, maybe so. Well, yes, you would do that if there's like a group of tall dudes who are all doing that, and he was the leader, he was the Spartacus. Then yes, you have to make an example of him so other ones give up. But if it's just one person, no. I mean, you don't need to be a tyrant for that.
Yeah.
You're just be like, all right, dude, you can play basketball, and then whatever. If you don't like it, then go back to that. You gotta try it for at least a year or something.
Yeah, like your talent can be your prison for a lot of people.
Oh, if you hate it, yeah.
And I think it definitely causes a lot of pain in people. You see that with musicians and artists a lot. Maybe a part of that is that this is the only thing that I'm good at.
Oh, sure.
What I'm talented at. And let's say you don't want to do it anymore. And the thing that you're known to the world at causes you a lot of pain. And you just want to give it up. I'm sure that causes a lot of inner turmoil. Like, who am I as a person if I'm not doing this anymore?
Yeah, what's your identity?
But you owe it to society, apparently.
I think so.
You know?
Yeah, because if you have two societies, and one in which everyone feels obligated that has those talents to perform for society, and the other one is like everyone is just living like a hedonist, the first one is gonna just dominate and destroy the second one eventually. Like, you're just gonna achieve so much more, like from technology, from every area. You're just gonna be doing better. And the other one is just people having a party all day. Like, that one's gonna stagnate.
Back in Musashi's time, society definitely had a tier list, a ranking of people who are at the top. So during that time, the people that were at the very top of society, they're the warriors.
Yeah, the shogun, the leader of
The warrior class. So there's different classes, right? Then I think there's like the artist class beneath that, right? Because the artists, they create art that's valuable to society. After that class, it was the farmers, and they're super important because they produce food that everyone needs. And at the very bottom, the lowest class was the merchant class. And the merchant class was thought of as the leeches of society.
Right.
They're basically sucking up the labor of other people and making a bunch of money. They're
like a middleman.
Yeah, they're the middleman, not really respected, and they're the absolute lowest class in society. If today we had to reorder the different classes, what would your classes be?
Obviously, the merchants at the top. Everyone is a merchant nowadays.
Okay.
I mean, pretty much, like 99%.
Let's do one for you personally.
Oh, what are my personal values?
Yeah. Like, who would you, if you were to rearrange the class level however you wanted, what would that look like?
When I was reorganizing the world, I wouldn't put the merchants at the top. That's for sure.
Okay.
Because merchants are just people that are good at turning a profit. It doesn't mean they're the smartest people or they're the people that are going to advance the culture the best. Okay? So I think like scientists and like great thinkers and like engineers, I would put those people at the top, like higher, like those types of people, and the people that come up with original ideas, I'd put those people at the top. And then, maybe there's some value in having like military leaders and warriors like a little bit more respected than they currently are. You know, like, because right now they're kind of just like, oh, you're kind of like the security guard, but you don't really have power. So it's like maybe they get a little bit of power, you know, that might be a good thing. But the merchants, their value is like, oh, they're getting money. So I don't think they need to have like all this power and influence like they do now, because like they already have money. They can already buy fancy things. Like, if that's what motivates you, be like that. But you don't need to also have money and influence. I mean, power and influence. Power and influence should be the people that are going to make the better decisions for the country, which will probably be like the military leaders and the great thinkers and the philosophers and the great scientists and people like that, and like engineers and like people that are actually doing stuff and creating things. It could be that you're an entrepreneur and a merchant who also is one of those people. But if you're just someone who's like, your skills that you have a lot of money and that's it, I don't think you should be controlling the government. So I would reorder it like that. So it's like the great scientists and the engineers and people like that, and the thinkers and the philosophers, and then you would put the military, and then you would put, I mean, like you're talking about the farmers and stuff like that. I mean, I think they have value. So like the people that are giving food and giving, like water and like these basic things, you could put like teachers or something like that, like where it's like, or policemen and firemen, like basic functions that right now they're not really like glorified in the current system. But like you really need those types of things to have a good functioning society. Like I think you need to elevate those things a little bit. Like with the government, be like, oh, these people need to be respected. We need to regulate those so only good people get into those jobs, like whether it's farmers or policemen or whatever, and like pay them better. and then because they have important roles to play in society. So I think that would be another one. Another one would be like now you have like urban planners and like city planners, and like maybe if I was the dictator, I would centralize all that, and I'd be like only the smartest like architects and engineers and stuff are going to be in control of that. It's not going to be a career bureaucrat who's just like, oh, we're just doing whatever so we can win a grant and we can win money and all this nonsense. It's going to be someone who's like, oh, we're going to build this thing and it's going to cost $1 billion. It's going to take 10 years to build, but then it's going to be like the greatest thing in the world. It's going to be like some great bridge. We're going to redo the city. We want people like that. And that would be like some type of like engineering or something. So those types of people, I think that's important also, like the infrastructure. You have to reorder the society, because right now it's like you have it where it's like the merchants are in charge, and then everyone else is kind of like, it's all flowing down from like who has money and who has the donor class and who controls the super PACs and all that. And then you have like career bureaucrats and people like that are just like repeating the messages the super PACs tell them to say. But in this world, it would be like the truly competent rise to the top, the people that are willing to move it forward, and then the government gives them the resources and the money to say, oh, it's going to take 10 years. That's fine, because we'll make us a better country. We're going to give you the money for that, and you can stay there for 10 years instead of like, oh, you're just 2 years and then you got to get reelected type of nonsense.
Yeah.
So,
awesome, man. Well, thanks for sharing that story. Really interesting to see the world through Musashi's eyes. My takeaway is don't be like Musashi, where you're in your 20s and you realize that other professions, other people have values. I think that's pretty common sense. But for Musashi, apparently this was a huge revelation for him. But really, really interesting story. Any final thoughts?
No, that was it. Go find the way and master it.